Hello, guys. I greet you all according to your time you are using wherever location you are watching me from. My people, it is me, your sister, your friend, Creative Kingdom AB. This time around, there is a fire on the mountain, my people. Can you believe that Nigerians will still be facing discrimination in the hand of a Chinese woman right inside Nigeria? This one is not China, right inside Nigeria. It is hard to believe, but it is true. This has actually got me thinking. I'm now come and be asking myself and say, if the Nigerians are facing chronic discrimination right in their own country like this by a Chinese woman, then you will now wonder the amount of discrimination Nigerians are facing right in China. I'm talking about the one Nigerians are facing in Asia continent. Asia continent are occupying more than 60% of population all over the whole world. We are not talking about that one now. We are not talking about the discrimination they are facing in Europe. We haven't talked about that. We are not to talk about North America. Well, they are Nigeria scatter all over the whole world, just like the Israel as of old. But it come to a time whereby the leaders of Israel, they took the responsibility to gather their own people, loving their own people, planning for their own people, developing their country in order to attract their citizen back home. You don't need to tell your citizen, come back home, come back home. It's only lack of planning and lack of creativity, lack of development, lack of innovation. When there's so much lack, that is the only way the government will be using mouth. Will be using mouth to drag its citizen to come back home. Come back home. Come back home because they know that there's nothing at the table. They know that nothing is going on. They know that stealing is just still going on. Embezzlement of public funds it's just going on. So there's there's nothing. So they'll rather be dodging, go and be signing ungodly agreements, abnormal agreements with one country or the other in order to just afflict pain to their citizens. Have you ever seen America government doing that to their citizens in any country? No. Why? Because they have really worked hard for their citizens, invested down for their citizens for generation to generation to come. They have planned down for their citizens, lifetime planning, not decades, not decades planning, lifetime planning. I'm telling you about. So tell me any reason why American citizens will go to any other country and felt intimidated. You cannot intimidate American citizens. It's their leaders that make it so. So now Nigerians are facing discrimination every country in everywhere they go. They are facing it, the intimidation. They are being intimidated by their Nigeria passport because of the failures of the leaders. Nigerian leaders, sit upright. Sit down in your closet to think about your children's children. How the kind of word you are building down for them. You might be thinking and say, you can, whenever you go away with Nigerians money, you will use it to build a better life, a better future for your children's children. But remember, whatsoever a man sow, it shall surely reap. So look at this Chinese woman. She took advantage of the failure of the country. She's not discriminating the citizens that owns the country, discriminating, restricting the same people that owns where she's making money from. You see, borrow, you see why it's not good. Now you can see one of the consequences it has attracted to the nation. Let us also hear from TVC Breakfast China. Let us hear. They really serve it well. They serve it right. They did amazing job over their analysis. They really analyze on this issue very well. The way I really love matter to be analyzed. I give it to them. I give them merit over the. Let listen to them.
All right, thank you for staying with us. The federal agency responsible for upholding competition and consumer protection, FTCC, has visited a Chinese supermarket in Abuja following reports of Nigerians being denied access to the store. During the visit, the Director of Surveillance and Investigation of the agency noted that more investigation and questioning will be carried out to uncover additional details surrounding the incident. Uloma Onyemachi completes the story.
Over the past week, the Federal Agency for Competition and Consumer Protection has been actively engaged in ensuring consumer safety in Abuja by conducting visits to supermarkets and open markets. Once again, such a visit was made, this time to a Chinese supermarket located at the China General Chamber of Commerce in Abuja. This visit was prompted by a viral video circulating on social media where Nigerians claimed they were denied entry to the store based on their nationality, sparking widespread outrage. Upon arrival at the location, the security personnel hesitated to open the gate, insisting on receiving authorization from higher authorities. After approximately 10 minutes, access to the compound was granted. Initially, the FCCPC team faced challenges reaching the managers of the complex as they were continuously redirected. However, the head of the delegation persisted in seeking information from anyone available regarding the situation and the policy on restricting Nigerians' entry to the store.
Okay, they will give you that printer to say you got something.
The agency still insists on a full investigation even as the gates to the supermarket were closed. The FCCPC was led to the security room to preview the CCTV footage. It was discovered that the owner of the store had fled this morning at about 8:29 a.m., which implies that she had prior knowledge of the visit. The owner has now been summoned to provide more answers.
Externally, inquiries have shown that yes, as at this morning, this supermarket was open to discriminate against any person who has any desire, intention to patronize any shop. It's a public shop. It's a public access with facility and also business.
The owner of the store has until Wednesday, 11 a.m. to report to the commission or the supermarket will remain closed. Uloma Onyemachi, TVC News, Abuja.
Joining us in the studio is a lawyer, social development advocate, Olutubosun Oshifora. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning to you.
Right. When this story, came up, several reactions, people even began to throw up videos of some other places in the country where Nigerians are not allowed. Some said an Indian school. Another one said there's a school, even an eatery somewhere in Lagos where they do not allow Nigerians in. But first of all, what came to mind when you saw this matter as well as the swift reaction of government?
All right. The first thing is it's a good place to commend the power of social media.
Right.
As a complementary appendage to the regular media. That's one. I mean, for those advocating that social media should be banned or regulated. I mean, this is a plus, because it's a good one. And correcting social ills, and so that's one part. But the second part is when the news actually came, everybody was like, in our own country, like, really, can something like this happen? So, and another thing I heard from a friend was that, can this happen in their own country? But let's look at the position of the law and what the law says. If you look at Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it says that no Nigerian shall be discriminated against under any circumstance.
Right.
Now, so when you have a shop or an outlet and you claim that Nigerians cannot come in because it's strictly a Chinese thing, then that even raises some level of suspicion. If you look at it, first off, you can't stop Nigerians from going into any shop. Then you claim you sell something. They may have something they want to buy. They don't have to be Chinese to patronize you. That's one. Any national can come. Any ethnic group can actually come in and check out what you sell. Right. They don't even have to buy. Right. They can just look, people window shop. And then if you look at other places all over the world, I mean, we know of Chinatown in New York, and people go there. There's nothing like this kind of restriction. So why this? Why Nigeria? What exactly is going on? So the suspicion here is, what are you selling? That
what
the
are you hiding?
person cannot see, cannot view. Now, so that is enough for people to start looking at in your direction that there's more to what you're doing. There's more to you stopping people than what we can see. And thank goodness this came on. And also we have to commend the agency, the FTCC, the swift reaction. You know, that's not just locking up the place now, but also calling them forward to come for some form of interview. And they have also hinted that they may face some tribunal in respect of that action. I think that's commendable, but we will also have to wait for the outcome and see how far this...
Because there are reports, even in the papers this morning, that the owner of that business, supermarket has fled.
So that raises more suspicion. And you know, if going by the law now, if you look at the Consumer Protection Council's Act, Section 2, subsection I, it says that this agency has the powers to look at any obnoxious or discriminatory act against consumers. And they can actually take up the person, like the owners of the business, like they have done, they've rightly done, and then also prosecute them where necessary.
Right.
Well, so do you not think there is need for us to look into it deeply? Because we had the issue of KFC discriminating a Nigerian person with disabilities, and also we're having Chinese. Is it only Nigerians that are not allowed into their business center, or Africans, or any other person other than Nigeria? So yeah, exactly. So does this speak to the fact that Nigerians are being persecuted not only outside of the country? Now the British government is saying that they are going to repatriate, send what do they call them? Migrants, asylum seekers to Rwanda, and said no going back, through the boats and all of that. So is it about the Nigerian people or the African people as against, their own selves, right, even on their own soil? So if they are feeling this, what about in other countries as, China?
All right, let's contextualize it. Because this happened in Nigeria, then we might have to just limit it
to Nigeria.
I don't know about other nationals. What we saw was a video by the person who posted it, and he just said Nigerians were not allowed. And then the security personnel at the entrance of the supermarket actually said, in fact, they said that from the report that they made a law, or they gave them a directive from the beginning of 2024 that no Nigerian should be allowed. That in itself is discriminatory. This is Nigeria. All right. And then even if it was abroad, you cannot label any person, any national, and say that this person should not, certain nationalities should not come and patronize you, or should not come into your supermarket. As long as you're open for business, anybody can come into that place. I talked about window shopping. He's not even buying now. Even if I go there today, go there tomorrow, and come back next tomorrow, as long as I have not stolen, I'm not a security threat to you, you can't stop me from coming in. That's even abroad. Now, coming home in my own country, in my own space, then somebody came from somewhere. And most of these people, no disrespect to them, some of those people, by the time you actually touchlight them, you find out that they don't even have the necessary permits to stay or to even operate this business in the first place. Now we learned from what you said that the person has fled. Why flee? What is pursuing you? I mean, if we go scriptural, it says it's only the wicked who runs when
No man is
pursuing. Nobody has pursued them. They've only asked them to come forward and explain themselves. Now, so this is discriminatory in all regards. Then back to your question, even if it's abroad, you can't do that. And the one you alluded to, the Rwanda thing, you saw what happened last week. The House actually, literally threw out the bill, though they're still on it, but it's not going to fly. And they felt that's a slap on, the administration of Rishi Sunak. Because, I mean, how can you just pack everybody and go and throw them in one country, assuming that it's discriminatory, and I mean, the provisions of the law, the UN charters that actually oppose such laws. So it's obnoxious, and it wouldn't be allowed to fly. So, but as far as this is concerned, this supermarket issue, stopping Nigerians from coming in, it's obnoxious. It's every inch wrong, and it will not be tolerated. It will not be allowed, not in this space.
Right, interesting. But there's also the aspect of charity begins at home, and how you treat your citizens also gives room for others to understand how they should treat them as well. And so I am trying for us to perhaps move back a bit how we have treated ourselves as a people. Because sometimes we treat these persons who have a different color better than we treat ourselves. We give them a better pay sometimes than those who are our own people. And then when certain persons perhaps go outside the country, now their accents have changed, we seem to embrace them better. No, perhaps we need to talk about these things. So are we not in a way actually giving these persons room to discriminate against us because they see how we treat ourselves?
Well, I want to align with your position. We haven't also been fair to ourselves. I think the issue of the Entery that he mentioned earlier, if you look at it, there were all Nigerians involved.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you looked at a fellow Nigerian who is living with disability, and you're stopping the person from coming in. Yeah. Thank goodness also, I mean, the reaction was fine.
Immediate.
So I think one of the things we also have to commend lately is the fact that I think people are becoming more aware of their rights and the position of the law. And that's why you find all these swift reactions to issues like this. Now, but in all fairness, like you said, we also haven't been fair to ourselves. We've had instances where, the dignity of the Nigerian has been trampled in several dimensions by Nigerians. So it's easier for somebody who is not a part of you to just look at it that if you treat yourself like that, then it doesn't cost me anything to follow suit or even, raise my own bar and treat you in a worse situation, to treat you worse.
Yeah.
Now, so I think that's what has happened here. But also, we also have to recognize the fact that people are becoming aware of their rights, people are becoming aware of their positions, and even agencies are swift now at curtailing these social ills. So I think those days are gone, and then we're moving forward. I'm an incurable optimist. I pick things like this, and I look at it, and for all you care also, some other agencies will look at the swift reaction of the FTCC and also start doing things like this. Sometimes, it's contagious. People may not really know what to do in circumstances like this. So now you know that if a foreigner comes and does something like this or put up some obnoxious act, then you can actually go against them. There's this general inferiority complex that Nigerians have. You just see, like you said, people go abroad. I've seen somebody, I remember a Nigerian footballer who went to Italy and came back with serious accent, not British accent. And I'm like, guys,
you went to Italy?
So it's just a cultural thing, but at the same time, that does not give room for anybody to discriminate. It's a fundamental right. Nobody should discriminate against any Nigerian under any circumstance. Nobody should prevent you from moving into something. Like I said, I can go to the shop as many times as possible. I might be thinking in my mind that maybe one day I'll have the funds to buy it, but that shouldn't stop you. I mean,
from
that shouldn't
walking
stop
in
me
and
from coming
looking
in
at
and looking
whatever
at
that
what you
object
have.
it
I might be
is.
just
Yeah.
psyching myself up.
Very
that
good.
No matter the amount of this thing, one day,
One
one
day,
day,
I will buy
have
you.
the funds.
Well, people are not even scared of what they eat because during the COVID-19 time, there was a report that actually started with a phrase like, the Chinese eat anything that flies in the sky except aeroplane. They eat anything that has 4 legs except table. So I'm not sure what kind of appetites Nigerians would definitely have. But you know, there are so many people who are adventurous when it comes to cuisines. But where I'm going is China is Nigeria's largest trading partner in 2023 with a total trade value of 7.49 trillion naira in the fourth quarter of 2021. So they accounted for about 28% of Nigeria's total import value. So what do you think Nigerians and the Nigerian government can do because if we say we should boycott their product, boycott their businesses and all of that, do you think we will be hurting ourselves?
First off, you know the levels to this thing. It's you don't go all out against a country. It's just an individual that has done this thing, and the necessary agency has acted in line with the position of the law. So what is necessary here has been done. Now, so it's not China that's done anything wrong. It's a Chinese that has done something wrong here. So you face who has done the wrong, then that is not enough.
Now it depends on how their own government also reacts.
It's not enough to cause any diplomatic strain. I know the Chinese government. I don't think we will have a situation where this will spiral into some diplomatic row. No, they will definitely. I mean, if a Nigerian citizen goes abroad and does something wrong, that doesn't mean it's Nigeria that has done. It's a Nigerian. He's not representing Nigeria with the crime. Right. And I think that is what has played out here. And it's not enough to boycott. I think before we go 1-2 steps, things will be resolved diplomatically and everything will be fine. But this is good. And it also sends a signal to people who may want to come up with something funny in future. You know that this is a land where those days of anything goes are gone. You cannot discriminate against Nigerians. You cannot bring in things that are contrary to what we believe or how we live our lives.
So you think the message has been passed by the government or through this agency now to other persons and businesses? Because over the years, we have recorded different issues with, be it Lebanese organization, be it Chinese, different, nationals who have carried out one issue or the other against Nigerians, and yet we're still seeing this happen. So you think this step taken by the FTCC is enough to send a message across to
I want to believe so. I mean, between you and I mean, we're not Gen Zs. We've been around for a while.
Right.
A few years back, this wouldn't happen. In this same Nigeria, this kind of response. This kind of response, you wouldn't find it. Now, so for things like this to happen, you're seeing swift reactions by agencies. I think that's also, it's a function of leadership. Because it's the body language from the top that you see. If you know that you have a president who will not condone all this kind of thing, you sit right. And that's what we're saying. The message is clear. That may not prevent infractions in some quarters. Some people are incurable, problematic individuals. Some people will come up with another thing. But as long as you keep shutting it down, I mean, look at the Naira thing. We were at a party over the weekend and everybody was just gentle. In fact, I pity those who not go ahead and do parties all in the name of, what you get from it. So right. I think one of in fact, there's a celebrated case last week. The guy went to another party and he did a transfer to the... And the thing where you should, I'm giving you money, I'm still doing a case. So people will sit right. All you just need is make example of 1 or 2 persons and everybody will sit right. People don't really like trouble like that. But it's where nothing happens that crime festers like this. But where you curb it, people will sit right.
Yeah, this is an alarm raised by Nigerians through different platforms, social media, which you commended, saying the good side of it. It now becomes the social media now becomes the a horn in a Chinese shop, destroying everything, raising the dust against what has actually happened. So you feel that this is something that we should encourage social media, those who see something, or do you feel this actually confirms the maxim, when you see something, say something, and how do you think this has helped so far?
Absolutely, absolutely. It helps, and we've had instances of things gone viral like this, and that has elicited response from the necessary agencies. And I think this should be encouraged. You know, I see some people make the social media some funny too. No, this is commendable. And this is also complementary to the conventional media, because there are things you can cover, there are things you wouldn't even show. All right, but I mean, it's a good synergy. The social media, complementary, the conventional media, and then it only makes the society better. Because something like this wouldn't have come up. It can only come from stuff like that. I think there was another issue a few weeks back on some smuggling going on around the border. You know, it was on Twitter and all that. And that also elicited some reaction from the necessary agencies. So this is the best way we can use the social media. If you see things, we've seen cases of abuse of children, abuse of individuals. You know, people just post it, and you see the police and all the relevant agencies go after such, you know, culprits and all that, and nip the infractions in the bud. Sometimes some of these tools have been used to in corrective measures. You've seen bridges almost collapsing, and people will take pictures, send out, and then, you know, agencies will come in. This is the best way to use social media, not as a tool to abuse or fight or something.
That's
you can't
why there
play
are
that
those
down.
calling for some form of regulation, even though, yes, we know that this is the best way, but you cannot really control certain persons on the usage.
Well, we can't do without regulating things, in all fairness. You know, they say where there's no law, there's no sin. And these days where everybody sees, you went through a lot of training. The average person with an iPhone or Android just sees himself as the latest journalist, and you want to break news. You know, the way everybody, you just want to take credit for that.
Impact.
Yeah, you know how much editing and regulating you go through here before you bring something out. The average person, he hasn't gone to school. He doesn't understand what journalism is. He doesn't know the ethos and everything. At the end of the day, he just puts things that are not supposed out there, and they don't even know the consequences. Now, so that's why the regulation is still necessary, all right, but it also should be done with a human heart. It shouldn't be done with a heart to stifle people or in a draconian way that, you know, I mean, we've seen governments clamp down on things. Recently, I saw yesterday where they said the storm, you know, the cloud seedling thing that Dubai did that caused the whole flood thing. They said posting that stuff now I saw it. I don't know how true it is. I couldn't verify, but they said if you post the storm or you post anything like that, the government will come for you. I mean, that is not how
because they came out to clarify that it's
not a seedling.
Well, let's hope it's fake, because I mean, you can't stop people from showing things. They will show your good side, they will show your bad side. It's also a way of keeping government on their toes. If you know that some random person who doesn't understand the basics of journalism will, you know, bring you out there, you will be circumspect in your dealings.
That's right. Now, let's look at this agency, FTCC. They've been in the news lately. They've been, you know, up and about and, you know, ensuring that they clamp down on, you know, people who, those who are engaged in sharp practices. But do you think they are doing enough by going to supermarkets? Because the conventional markets are there. I realized yesterday that there is a 5-liter gallon of palm oil, smaller than the original 5-liter. I don't know whether you've seen it. You know, it's so small, and compare it to I go to the markets a lot. I buy things a lot, and I saw it and I was like, oh, I've been ripped off my money, you know, for several times and all of that. So, do you not feel that they need to get into the markets, the market space or the market square, to ensure that they make people who are profiteering to dance naked in the market square?
Well, there is need. And you know, like I always say, the biggest room in the world is a room for improvement.
Absolutely.
So